Welcome once again to Octane Mobile Gaming. The new deck is out and we're gonna have a look at the new deck. It's a deck with the haste on it, and this is the ultimate form. Now the ultimate form will increase chaotic killer intensity by the number of light gems on the board. Then it will increase chaotic killer attack by 60% plus the extra 1% per 20 chaotic killer intensity. Then it will create 2 light power gem 4s. Looking at this, you probably think this deck is really powerful, but from the experience that I've had with the decks over the last 2.5-3 months, a lot of these decks present these boosts and they're not as powerful as you initially think. Just like the wrestling deck, the fire deck from last Slayer event, you would think it would be a very powerful deck. It wasn't. You would have thought that the deck last week, because it had a boost on it, would be powerful. It wasn't. The only thing that was really nice about the deck from the last event was the Gem Destroy mechanics, which I really love. A lot of people didn't love the Gem Destroy mechanics because it reminded them so much of Chaos, but I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant. Apart from the Gem Destroy mechanics, it wasn't really a brilliant deck. And a lot of the decks that we're seeing now aren't very brilliant decks. They're not very powerful. I'm not talking about decks that are extremely overpowered, because you do come across decks that are extremely overpowered. The decks now are not extremely overpowered. Personally, a lot of them are quite underpowered, because by yourself you're not able to take out a lot of bosses. And this deck reminds me so much of that. Now this deck is intensity dependent, so it put a lot of emphasis on intensity. If we go to the passive, which is haste, we've all seen this passive before on the wrestling deck, the fire wrestling deck, where your battle skills are available on the first turn. On your first turn, this ultimate form will create a maximum of 6 power gem 4s. It will create 2 with the battle skill when your battle skills is activated, and the passive, which is the last one after your rebirth, at the start of the battle, so that's the first turn, it will increase chaotic killer intensity by 100 and create 4 light power gem 4s. Now your requirement for creating 1 extra power gem is 160 chaotic killer intensity. You're only generating 100 with this passive, so you're still short of 60 to create 1 extra power gem. However, this is quite nice because at least you're starting the battle with 100 intensity, rather than building your intensity from scratch. If you've got 1 ultimate form and 2 relics, you're only going to generate 15 intensity. But with this passive, you would basically have 115 intensity, which is not too bad. But personally for me, it's not really that great, because this passive is only for the first turn. It doesn't continue on during the fight. The next passive, which is rebirth, once per battle, instead of dying, you'll survive and add 100 chaotic killer intensity. Then you'll heal for 100% recovery per 5 points of chaotic killer intensity. So you can fill your health back up to max if you've got enough intensity when you die and you reborn. So that's not too bad. I like the rebirth on it. I like the fact that it generates quite a bit of intensity on the first turn. However, its capability of producing power gems, it's lacking in that department, because after you've created these 4 power gems on turn 1, you're primarily dependent on your battle skill to create power gems. Now for this this card by itself to actually create an extra, say 5 power gems, you basically need over 800 chaotic killer intensity just to create an extra 5 power gems. That's gonna take a really long time to generate that much intensity to basically create an extra 5 power gems. Let's move on and have a look at the Master Collection card. So the Master Collection card creates 2 light power gem 4s plus 1 additional 460 chaotic killer intensity. So it does the same thing like the ultimate form. It creates 2 power gem initially, 1 extra for every 160 intensity. It's also got the passive where at the start of the battle it increases chaotic killer intensity by 100, so that gives you 200 chaotic killer intensity. So at the first turn, this card and your ultimate form will be able to create an extra power gem 4, which will give you a total of 7 for your ultimate form and 7 for this one as well, because it creates 4 light power gems and it create 2, so 2 plus the extra 1 that will create will give you 7, so that's 14. So those two cards together will give you 14. And if you've got your shiny master collection card, that will give you extra 7 as well, that will give you 21. Plus the shiny master collection card will have this passive on it, which will become active on your first turn, so that will give you 21 power gems, which is not too bad. It's got the haste on it as well, apart from the haste and the one-time passive, which only works on the first turn. After the first turn, you're on your own. It's not really a brilliant Master Collection card from my point of view. I don't really love the Master Collection card. I don't think it's really that great. The ultra rare will increase chaotic killer intensity by the number of light gems on the board. Then it will increase chaotic killer intensity by 60% plus an extra percent for every 20 chaotic killer intensity. It's got the haste, it's got the revive on it, so this card is a card that's gonna boost your deck. However, after your first turn, you will need power gems because your deck is not going to create a lot of power gems after your first turn. On your first turn, if you got 2 Master Collection card, 1 ultimate form, 2 ultra rare, you will, because taking a look at your ultra rare doesn't create any power gems. Your passive rebirth, once per battle, instead of dying, you'll survive, get 100 intensity, 100% health, but you won't create any power gems. Your ultra rare doesn't create any power gems whatsoever. It just increases your intensity based on the number of gems on the board. Then increase your attack by 60% plus that extra 1% for every 20 chaotic killer intensity. That's all it does. There's no power gem generation from your ultra rare whatsoever. None, nada. It is just a card to boost your attack. All your power gem production will come from your Master Collection card and your ultra rare. And these doesn't create a lot of power gems. Let's take a second look at the battle skill. So after your first turn, creating that 21 power gems that I spoke about, plus the ones that you will generate from your relics, you will go down to creating only 2 power gems per battle skill, plus the extra power gem based on your intensity. 2 Master Collection card, 1 ultimate form, each giving you an extra 100 intensity at the beginning of the battle, plus those generated by your relics and your ultimate form will probably give you, say, 350 for argument's sake. So each one of your cards will be producing an extra 2 power gems. So the next activation, depending on when you activate, say you've got 500 intensity. If you got 500 intensity, you would be creating an extra 3 power gem per card. So this one will be creating 5, and your ultimate form will be creating 5. So if you got 2 master collection card, that's 10, 5 per master collection card, and 5 from your ultimate form, and those generated by your relics depending on how much relics you've got. So you can create probably 20 power gems on the board after your initial turn. So it will be able to fill the board with power gems over time, but will take a long time to generate that much intensity to fill the board. So this deck will need outside help. It will need cards that can actually create more light power gems on the board. So on your first attack, that attack would be a bit more powerful than the following attacks if you use this deck as a standalone deck. But if it gets outside help, then it can be a bit more powerful. And the outside help, I would think, will come in the form of a card that probably could create up to 8 power gems or 7 power gems. There is one deck that probably would go quite well with this deck. It's the Relentless Scholar deck. Relentless Scholar, I think, create 4 power gem 4s and 3 power gem 3s each time you activate the battle skill. On every third turn, it creates an extra 4 power gem 2s. I'll read the battle skill later on and we'll see. So now let's have a look at the support card. So this is a support card, and your support card will increase Chaotic Killer intensity by 10 each time you activate a battle skill, that is. I think passively it will increase your intensity by 5. Yeah, so passive down here is Chaotic Killer intensity. This is a 5-star version, so it's a increase Chaotic Killer intensity by 4. So when it gets up to 6-star, it will be 5. So passively it will increase your Chaotic Killer intensity by 5, but when you activate the battle skill, it will give you 10. So on the activation of a battle skill, you get 15 in Chaotic Killer intensity from this card. It will also create 6 light gem plus 1 extra light gem per 100 Chaotic Killer intensity. So this would be able to fill the board with gems. Does it heal? No, it doesn't heal. It's got the haste, so it doesn't heal, but at least it's a power gem spawner. And it's intensity generator, so it's not too bad. It's okay. It's not brilliant. It's an okay support card. It's your average support card, not anything to write home about. I think it's okay. Let's look at the event card. Now this is an event card. An event card is definitely a downgraded version or a weaker version of a master collection card, so don't expect it to be absolutely brilliant. It will create 2 light power gem 2s plus 1 additional for 250 Chaotic Killer intensity. That is absolutely ridiculous. So to create 2 extra light power gem 2s, you have to generate 500 intensity. So when you get up to 2000 intensity, this won't even be creating a full board of power gems, which makes it absolutely ridiculous. It had the potential to be an absolutely magnificent event card, but the intensity requirement has just made it a garbage, absolute rubbish event card. Just the intensity requirement nullified the validity of this card. It makes this card absolutely useless. If the intensity was 160, just like the Master Collection card or the Ultimate Form, it wouldn't have been bad. 100 intensity would have made it absolutely brilliant. But having the requirement of 250 intensity has just made this card absolutely pointless, useless if you ask me. It's got ace on it, it's got no passive whatsoever. This event card, I'm absolutely disappointed in this event card. I've got 2 copies of the support card, 1 copy of the main card, but it's not really anything to celebrate about with the intensity requirement. I'm always disappointed in the intensity requirement for these decks, because I think there's somebody in network that is having a laugh when they stick the intensity requirement on these decks. I think 100 intensity is too much. More over 160. 250 is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely pointless sticking that on a card. I think the maximum you should go up to is probably 150. Nothing over 150 is really that good. 100 is the limit for me. I think intensity requirement should fluctuate between 20 and 100. 150 if you want to make it a bit more difficult. But 250, absolutely ridiculous. I think that is absolutely a rubbish event card. You can use it to generate a few power gems. However, to generate the amount of power gems that you would need if you've only got, say, 2 event card and 3 support card, it's gonna make the game absolutely pointless. Absolutely, it's just grinding and grinding and grinding, and you're just laboring just to generate enough intensity to get even half board of power gem. It's absolutely pointless. So that event card for me is garbage, absolute rubbish, only because of the intensity requirement. Without the intensity requirement that high, it would have been a brilliant event card. The deck overall for me, I like the artwork, I like the battle skills. The battle skills are lacking in areas. The intensity is one point where it's lacking. Power gem production, it's lacking in power gem production. Yes, it could be able to deal trillions of damage, but it will need outside influence. Primarily, you will have to get cards to add to the deck. It's definitely not going to be a powerful standalone deck. You will need help. And let's have a look at some of the cards. So this is Relentless Scholar. For those of you who have never seen it before, it's got the Freedom Fighters, or as I call it, Bio Blitz mechanic on it, where it's got mute damage at the end. However, this one is nerfed. There's only 2 cards that's got the original battle skill on it, and that is Hard One Gorillas and Freedom Fighters. All the other decks after that have been nerfed. So the fire's been nerfed, the light's been nerfed, the fire, the light, and the water has been nerfed. So those 3 are not as powerful as the dark and the earth. Those 2 are the 2 most powerful. So this card will create 3 light power gem 4s and 4 light power gem 2s. That will give you 7 power gems on the board. Every 4th turn, it will create 3 light power gem 2s, and it will dispel 1 debuff. So this card will be able to give you an extra 7 power gems on the board. So just adding this card alone is not going to give you quite a lot of power gems on the board. This card, however, is quite good. Enlightened Yokai. Enlightened Yokai combined with Transcendental Dervram will give you quite a bit number of power gems on the board, really. So this one will create 2 light gems and 2 light power gem 2s. It will apply its passive up to 4 light slayer for 2 turns at a rate of 1 hero plus an additional hero for every 100 light slayer skill point. It has a 4 turn cooldown and 9 gem charge rate. And what the passive does is when a healing battle skill is used, it will increase self attack by 25% and create 2 light power gem freeze. So depending on how much healing skill is used, it will transfer. This will be triggered. So that will give a boost to any card that it transfers its passive to. This has got the same as well. So if you see it, a Risen Song, when a healing battle skill is used, increase self-attack by 100% and create 3 light power gem 3s, can trigger once per turn. And it's got when 8 power gem 1s or greater on the board, it will decrease damage taken by up to 16% for 1 turn. and they start at 4 and increase by 4 per 100 skill point. It will create 4 light power gem 4s, and it will heal for 2000% of your recovery. If you are over 50 HP, the power gems are doubled. However, if you're under 50% HP, your heal will be doubled. So it's a good healer and it's a good power gem spawner. So it's not that the yokai deck is not a bad deck to combine with it. The Relentless Scholar is also a good one to combine with it. Let's look at a few more Light Slayer decks. So this one, Lustrous Super Knights, not really a good one. It's Rainbow Gem deck, absolute garbage. As I said, yokai deck or Relentless Scholar is not too bad. If you look at Swinelord Strike Team, Swinelord Strike Team has got the revive as well. It will create 4 light power gem 4s and 3 light power gem 2s, so that gives you 7 light power gems on the board. You'll become immune to damage for 1 turn as well, so it gives you an immunity. It's got the revive. It's got when an enemy casts a debuff, gain Fortunate Buff. Fortunate Buff reduces damage taken by 5% for 3 turns. So that's not too bad. And whenever enemy casts a buff, it will heal for 100% of hero recovery. So that's not a bad one. You can add that one as well to the deck. So those are some of the cards that you can. This one is absolute garbage. This is Hellboy. Hellboy deck is it's one of the worst deck, not the worst deck, but one of the worst deck around. And those are some of the cards that ultimate forms that you probably could add to the deck to give your deck a bit more power gem production. Relentless Scholar has got the killer skill for this week. I forgot to mention the killer skill for this week is Chaotic Killer. So the deck is a Chaotic Killer deck. So if you've got Relentless Scholar, brilliant, you've got the killer skill. However, the killer skill on Relentless Scholar will only give you 400% damage increase, while the current ultimate form will give you 900%. So that's an extra 500% boost, and that boost is not too bad. But however, if you've got the killer skill, you can still do quite well in the event. Not as well if you've got the ultimate form from the current deck. And I think the ultimate form from the current deck, just combine the ultimate form. That's all you need. I believe that's all you need. You just need the ultimate form to give you that 900% boost. And if you mix the Relentless Scholar with the yokai deck using the ultimate form from the current deck, I think your deck would be a bit more powerful. Because on your second turn, you'll have a 2-turn deck. On your second turn, you'll do massive damage, far more damage than you'll deal on the first turn using the current deck as a standalone deck. That's what I believe. I'm probably wrong, but that's what I think looking at the numbers anyway. Is the deck a brilliant deck? The ultimate form is good as a utility card going forward. The ultra rare it's an okay utility card. Where it falls down for me is that it doesn't produce any power gems. So if you stick it on a deck, all it's gonna do is give the deck a boost. It's not gonna aid the deck in gem production. The ultimate form, however, has got the boost. It does produces a bit of power gems on the board, and it can create a bit more power gem based on intensity. Even though the intensity is a bit too high for my liking, it can produce a bit more power gems. It does increases its own intensity, which is not too bad on the first turn. Gives you 100%. So it's not a rubbish utility card like Lustrous Super Knights. Lustrous Super Knights is an absolute rubbish card. We've got loads of rubbish cards, loads of rubbish deck within this game. But as I said, if you are able to get the deck, if you haven't got the killer skill, I've got the killer skill. I didn't really get anything from the vault and I haven't got enough coins to craft the ultimate form. If I could craft the ultimate form, I would craft the ultimate form. Doubling up on the skill and creating quite a bit of power gems would give me a real boost for this event, but I'm just going to use what I have to achieve what I want. I'm going to save my gem, all my coins for the next event, which is a fire event. Let's see what the next fire event is going to be. I think the next fire event is going to have the same it's gonna have the same killer skill like the rainbow gem deck, which is one of the worst deck in the game. It's even worse than the Hellboy deck. And this is it. And that one is Beast Killer. So the next event is gonna be a Commander Beast Killer. I've got the ultimate form. I did manage to get the ultimate form for this deck on the second tier of the vault when this event was around. Didn't really want the deck, but I got the deck. Didn't use it much because it was absolutely useless. The only thing I probably do if next week, if I don't manage to get anything from the vault, I'll just use the ultimate form just to give myself the boost from the killer skill, and probably use my coins to get something from the historical collection. What would I get from the historical collection? Let's have a look at the historical collection. So if you go into the historical collection, or not this one, you have to go to the season. Yeah, you have to go here, and this is where you see your historical collection for all the ultimate forms for this event so far. So you go to ultimates, and I think if I do manage to get enough season coins and I'm not able to get anything from next week's store, the one that I would get the Master Collection card for this this deck. Not that I love the deck, but I did manage to get 3 ultra rares from this event, no Master Collection card whatsoever. So I haven't got the ultimate form. So I would craft the ultimate form by crafting the Master Collection card, because I've got 3 ultra rare, as I said. Would I craft anything from this light event? Would say not really. Last event, not really. And the dark event, I really like this deck. Would I take the ultimate form to 2 pink star? Don't really need to. So let's see how next week goes. Next week I might be able to get the ultimate form. If I do get the ultimate form, it would be good. But if not, I would use my season coin to get the ultimate form for the water deck. So the next event will be a beast fire commander beast killer deck. Look to see if that event is really good. The last event, would say it was okay. I did enjoy the event a bit. Primarily, not so much the guild bosses, like the quest. I kind of enjoy the crusades a bit more relaxing than the guild bosses. Even though I did kill quite a bit of the guild bosses, because I was the one of the 2 people in my guild that actually had the full deck. Okay, so my recommendation for this week. My recommendation is, if you've already got the killer skill, if you really want to, you can craft the ultimate form. If you've got the season coins, and you can craft both Master Collection and Ultra Rare, you could craft it. However, personally for me, I would wait until next week to see what the deck is like next week, and probably go for that one. Is it a brilliant deck? I don't think it's a brilliant deck. I think it's okay. I think it will perform relatively well within the event, because there's very few deck that doesn't perform good in their event. It will perform good in its event. However, it will need additional cards to give you quite a bit of power gems, because the intensity requirement on these cards are too high. It's a Slayer event as well. Saying that, The ultimate form is a good utility card going forward. So it's not a bad ultimate form to get. So if you're looking for the killer skill, do go for the ultimate form. It will be a good ultimate form going forward. Should you go chasing after the deck? I will never encourage anybody to go out and spend their money to chase after the decks, because I know this game, it's a business and network is here to basically sell your product. However, it can become quite expensive and you can actually become carried away with getting the cards, trying to place high on the solo leaderboard. Don't let that be the objective within the game. Let your objective within the game itself becomes fun. The game should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. And that's the reason why I've gone back to the place where I used to try and enjoy the event a bit more. I used to play when I want a bit of distraction, when I want a bit of enjoyment. I don't focus too much on where I'm on the solo leaderboard, how much points I've scored for my guild. I don't focus too much on that anymore. I focus on the enjoyment of the event. Last event I was in Emperor League. The week before I was in Kings League. And even if I went down to Paladin League, as long as I'm enjoying the game, I'm enjoying playing with the decks, I'm enjoying the events overall, I'm happy with that. So it's not about collecting these cards, having the most powerful ultimate form. It should not be about that. When I started this game, it wasn't about that. When I actually started this game, it was a total different game. We didn't used to have vaults, we used to have packs. The same packs that we had in December, those were the packs that we started out with, where you got the master pack, then you got the ultra pack, then you've got the relic pack, and you had to go through each one to get certain things. You didn't have ultimate form, you only had master collection card and ultra rare. When you got a master collection card, it was absolutely brilliant, because before the introduction of runes, master collection cards were next to impossible unless you were going to spend loads of money. I've been in the game for quite some time to collect the historical cards, and we were lucky to get an ultra rare and a main card. Then you can collect the ultimate form. The master collection card. With the introduction of runes, it became a bit more enjoyable, a bit more easier to get the master collection card, and that's when I started to get master collection card more frequently. Then they introduced runes for the ultra rare as well, which made it even a bit more better. Then we had the introduction of dust. The dust wasn't too bad. It was what it was. You still could get your ultimate form, your master collection card, your ultra rare. Then now the dust is gone. They've introduced season coin. I think the season coin is far better than the runes and the dust, because if you've got enough season coin, you can always craft the master collection on ultra rare. It doesn't matter what affinity. Season coins and season coins. However, the season coins doesn't roll over. If the season coins could roll over, it would be wonderful, because then you could save up your season coins, wait on a brilliant deck, spell only season coins, get 6 master collection cards, 6 ultra rare, and create a ultimate form, 6 pink star ultimate form. Now that would be absolutely brilliant, to be able to save all your season coins for several seasons and be able to craft 6 master collection card, 6 ultra rare, and a 6 pink star ultimate form at the end. Then I think probably it would be a bit more worth saving up your season coins. Season coins is worth it anyway, but I'm just saying. Anyway, that's your deck. Tomorrow we do possible deck combination. I did show you some of the cards. We'll look at a few more cards tomorrow. We'll see what we can do with what we've got. Until then, like, subscribe. Please leave a comment below. Productive comments, please. No slander and all that foolishness. I know you guys don't do that anyway, but you've got trolls out there. Stay healthy, stay strong. Peace, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.